All right, well, let's see. I got 1 o'clock. We've got another one right behind me. So in the interest of time, I'm going to start. My name is Ed Labra, and thank you all for coming out here and spending an hour with us to learn about Meshtastic. Hopefully some of you have heard of Meshtastic, and some of you may be here just to learn what it's about. So there we go. Let me start by just talking about what we're going to cover here in the next 40 minutes or so, and then leave 10-15 minutes for questions. I'll do a quick introduction of myself, what Meshtastic is, and answer the basic questions that I think all of you probably have. Why do I want it? Come on in. Why do I need it? How can I use it? And then just as important is, how do I start? What do I do? Okay, you sold me, Ed. I want to get into this thing. How do I start? And then we'll talk about next steps, talk about a little bit about what may happen in the future. I'll do a very simple, quick demonstration, and then leave time for questions and answers. Sound like a deal? Is that what you came to see? Okay, before I start, just show of hands, how many of you have at least one Meshtastic node already and have started to use it or tried to use it? Good. How many of you are thinking about Meshtastic and don't? Okay. Well, let's see. Who am I? Just like I think everybody in the room, I'm a radio nerd. Recently retired. Started out with GMRS and became a ham radio operator in the last year or so. So I'm a technician looking to go general before the end of the year. As a newly retired guy, I wanted to find something to do, so that's what got me into radio. And then Meshtastic came into play, and I said, "Oh, this is neat. Seems like it's a fun thing to do." So I started getting into Meshtastic. If you look down here, this is my very first node. I literally took it out of the plastic case, plugged it together. Come on in, sir. Find a seat, and started using it. And then I realized, well, this thing hanging around, connected, USB connection here and a Bluetooth connection there isn't going to cut it. I need to put it in something a little bit more hardy. So I looked around and I had an Altoid can. That was my first node. The device that I bought in here, it came with an antenna. I replaced it with a better antenna. I needed a hard shell, so like a turtle, I looked around. I found Meshtastic Altoid. Cut a hole in for the power, cut another hole in for the antenna, and there's my first node. I used that for about a month or so, and that's what got me started. Then as I started using that, I got a better case for it, and you can go ahead and you can buy 3D printed cases, or you can print your own if you've got a printer. So that kind of gave me a little bit more of an upgrade from Altoid's can, even though that worked great. Guys, if you want to sit over here on this side, come on.
I'm only here for a few minutes.
Okay. So then once I did that and I decided, okay, this is something that I'm going to stick with, then I started building my own node. So I built a solar node, and that's what you see up here. This is on a painter's pole just for testing outside my backyard. And then this is the more permanent installation. So this is the same node that's in here, different model, but basically the same device, inside a weatherproof enclosure here, attached to a solar panel right here for power, and then hard to see, but right here is an external antenna for a little bit better range. And that's how I started. And that's as easy as it gets. If you want even easier than that, that wasn't available when I first started, but now you can purchase nodes that look like this. This is an all-contained, self-contained, fully functioning Meshtastic node. The only thing that this doesn't have that one has is that one has a tiny little screen that will show you messages and you can interact with, but I don't need that because I got a much better screen and keyboard right here. But this will do everything that solar node does. And that's as easy as it gets to get started. So there are some seats up here in the front if you like, right here.
It's a church.
That's right. That's right. So what is it? It's public domain software. Nobody owns it. It's not owned by Microsoft. It's not owned by Apple. It's not owned by Yaesu or anybody. Somebody developed it, put it out there on GitHub, and said, here you go, start using it. And people started finding ways to use the Meshtastic software. It sits on top of something else called LoRa, long range, and it's a communications protocol that was developed, again, public domain, and it's designed to run in the 900 megahertz frequency, the ISM band, so you do not require a license. You don't have to take a test. You don't have to buy a license. You just buy the device and you're using it. Now, because it's unlicensed, you have to put up with a lot of stuff. It's the same frequency that we used to use for cordless phones before we got cellular phones, and we had the phones at home and you raise the antenna, hi. It's the same frequency that we used to use, model planes and cars and remote controls, 900. And it's used for a lot of other things. But here in the US, license-free, 900 megahertz band. It's unlicensed. When you set up your node, it asks you, are you a ham operator? You can say yes or no. The only reason why they ask you that is ham operators can use slightly higher wattage. So if you say you're a ham operator, it'll let you use a little bit higher wattage out of the radio. But the downside of it is those of you that are ham know, ham radio operations does not allow for encryption. So you cannot have encrypted messages if you say yes to a ham. So it'll give you a little bit more of a power boost, but you can't encrypt anything. So most people, everybody that I've talked to, most people will say no. Even if they're a ham, they'll just set it up as a non-ham to get that encryption. It's optimized, as I said, for low power transmission. You'd be amazed how much range you can get out of a half a watt node like this. Height is might, as they always say, and that's the case. If you put this on top of Lookout Mountain, you're going to see nodes 10, 15, 20 miles around you. Okay? You put it in your house or in your car, you might see 3 or 4 miles around you, but that's not bad. Okay, so node hardware, low energy, this node will charge in about an hour and will run for about 2 to 3 days, depending on usage. This is a 3D printed little case. So when I go home at night, this is connected here through a USB cable. I just put the node there, it charges, and the next morning I just take it out and put it in my pocket. But even if I don't charge it, it'll run for 2 or 3 days. Runs on multiple platforms, so it's not specific to anything. You can run the Meshtastic software that interfaces with it on your PC or on your laptop. You can put it on your tablet. You can put it on your cell phone, which is the most common way to interface with it, to interact with it. Or you can get dedicated devices, and I'll show you some pictures of what I call dedicated devices, which are all-in-one units. So if you don't want to carry a phone or a tablet and the radio, you can buy an all-in-one unit that has everything in a very easy-to-carry case. Okay? If anybody has any questions, please don't wait. Just stop me here. But I want to be sure that we get everything through before we have to stop. Again, with the what is it, it doesn't rely on any infrastructure. It will create its own network. It is a mesh network, hence the name. It is a peer-to-peer network in which if I have 4 different nodes across town or across the county, and this node over here wants to talk to this node over here, and they're too far away from each other to talk, it'll say, oh, I can reach this one. It'll send a message to this one, it'll relay it to this one, and it'll relay it to this one and back. It is self-healing. So if this dies, or if this happens to be somebody in a car on 75 and it's out of range, then it will readjust, and the next time that they talk, it'll take a different route. So it creates its own infrastructure. 2 miles, 1 to 2 miles is average for most of these devices, but again, height is might, and different locations are different, but between 2 to 10 miles being one that's on a high spot, like that deck one that I showed, that had a clear sight many miles around. No internet. When I'm connected to it, I'm not using Wi-Fi. I'm not hardwired connected, although I can be. I'm using Bluetooth, and that's just one of the ways that I can talk to it. So everything around me can be down. The power grid can be down. I've got a solar node. Right here, sir. I don't need infrastructure. I don't need cell phones. I don't need Starlink. I don't need the internet. I don't need repeaters. Everything works with nothing else needed. Secured encrypted communications, I mentioned. As long as you say you're not a ham, it will allow you to encrypt your data. And even though to get from point A to point C, I had to go through 5 nodes, each of those 5 nodes took the message and passed it on, never looked at it, couldn't look at it even if it wanted to. So there's no way to intercept it. Yes, sir?
Maximum number of hops before it defaults?
By default, it's set to 3. I believe you can go up to 10. People advise not to do more than 7 unless you really have to, just to cut down on the traffic on the network. But you set that when you configure it. And I'll get to you in 1 second. One good use of that is there may be people that only want to talk to nodes directly. I don't want to get outside of this campus, so I only want to be able to talk. So you set your hop count, it's called, down to direct, and it won't echo it across. It'll just talk to, if there's 5 nodes on campus, it'll talk to those 5 nodes and nobody else. Yes, sir?
Yeah, maybe I'll just wait and see if you get to it.
Okay. All right. So that's the what, right? All I need is 2 nodes. So if I have this node and this node, I have a mesh network. If each of us has a node, then we can talk to each other. We can talk to people through a node at Lookout Mountain for perhaps to, 10, 20, 30 miles away. Okay? Multiple ways to connect to my node. I can connect to it via RF from one node to another. I can use the internet. I advise against it for 2 reasons. Number one, most people that want these is they want a way to communicate outside of their normal communications. So if I want to communicate with you using the internet, I might as well send you an email or send you a clip. So most people don't, but you can. And anything that can connect an IP signal from point A to point B will work with Meshtastic. So that could be satellite links like Starlink. That could be cellular connections. I can use my cell phone to create an internet connection, what have you. Yes, sir?
So you go from one of those modes to a specific node, local node, as a starting point? Is that the idea?
There is no starting point, but yes, the rest of it, I'll show you. I'll show you here in a few minutes how that works. Okay? It is self-healing. I talked about that already. If one of these nodes, each of these dots represents a node, if this particular node goes down because it ran out of battery, or if this particular node is no longer available because it was speeding up I-75 and now it's out of range, the message will find a different way around it. And you can do trace routes. So you can say, I want to test to see if this node can talk to this node, and I will do a trace route. It'll come back and say, okay, to get from here to here, I went here, 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 and here. And then it'll show you the way back. And oftentimes, I took 8 hops to get here, but I only took 4 hops back because something changed on the network, or as the message went out, it realized, oh, there's a more efficient way to get back. So it's self-adapting. And that's great because, as you can imagine, nodes are going on and off all the time. Messages, and this is, I think, what you were getting to.
What's the maximum number of characters?
Oh, that's a good question. I've never hit it, but there is, I don't know if it's 80 or 128, but it's small messages. You'll see. Text messages. Think text messages before you could attach files, videos. It's just basic text only. Hey, I'm safe, or I need water, or where can I get gas in town, or how's your day?
I was looking on. It shows you like 1 to 200 characters. So
200. Yeah, I knew it was in that range, 128, 256, somewhere around there. But it's very. This is not for having complex conversations, guys. This is for basic, are you alive? Are you okay? What do you need? Can I help you? Or where are you going? Where are we going to meet?
So it sends a GPS signal with that. Does that deduct out of that?
It can. You can turn your GPS on. You can turn it off. You can have a precise location. You can tell it, send my location anywhere within this bubble that's quarter mile, 2,000 feet from where I really am, so that, for example, I have a node in my house. I don't want everybody to know where my node is, so I tell it to send an approximate location, and I actually told it to send a fixed location because it's in my attic, it's never going to move, and I picked the location that's the main intersection in my development. So if you look up my node, it'll say I'm right on the corner of Menlo Drive and whatever the other circle, Winborn Circle. And if you zoom in on the map, you'll see I'm right in the middle of the intersection. I just went to Google Earth. I said, what are the coordinates here? And I used that as my location. But it's really 2 blocks away from where it really is. Okay? So messages. I can send messages from one device to another. So let's assume for the sake of discussion that all of us here in the room have a node. I can send a message from here to there that all your nodes will see it, but you won't be able to do anything with it. But this person can send a direct message to that person. That's device to device. I can also, just like if you remember channel 19 on CB, I can get on there and I can send a node, mail message that will go to every single Meshtastic node that will hear it, that's around me or can bounce across. So I can get to everybody with one message. Or I can create a channel, and that channel will be have an encryption code, and only the people that I give that channel to. So I can set up a family channel, and you'll see that on my node. I have a family channel, and any message I send to that, only my family will get. I may need you, and you to help me get that message across, but you won't be able to see it because it's only to my family. And we're in the US, we use 900 megahertz, but it's also used worldwide. Okay? So why do I want it? Main 3 reasons I hear are right here. Community, disasters, and decentralized. I want something for my community, and I know in North Georgia, some of the smaller towns and counties have set up community-wide channels using Meshtastic. So hurricane comes through, a tornado comes through, everything's demolished in the town. Well, if you have one of these, the city government can send out emergency alert messages through there. So you can set up community mesh networks to get messages out like that. Disasters, we were all here probably for, last year, 2 years ago when the hurricane came through. Everything was down, at least for the first 24, 48 hours. Then the hams, like we always do, the hams stepped in and we started setting up repeaters. We started setting up simplex communication to get messages across, and nets and so forth. But it took time. And let's face it, not everybody's going to have a ham radio or be able to use it. Okay, well, GMRS. Well, not everybody's going to have GMRS. Okay, FRS. Okay, well, that's great if I want to talk to somebody as far as I can throw a rock. But something like this, I can give to my daughter who will never use a radio, to my son who will never use a radio, and we'll have it as another communications. And the fact, many people love the fact that it's decentralized. I can take it and go into the middle of Yosemite. It doesn't require anything, no infrastructure. It just builds its own network automatically, and you can start using it. So, alternate or emergency way to communicate day to day. Some people love to do that. Again, I would not, and you'll see in the messages, it's very simple, very basic. So, if I want to show, my wife the new truck that I'm looking at the Ford dealership, I'm not going to be able to send that picture to her. I'll use my cell phone for that. But when everything else doesn't work, this will. Off-net preppers, they love it because it doesn't require anything. Big Brother's not watching. I don't need anything. I'm self-sufficient. All I need is 2 nodes or 3 nodes. I give everybody a node, and we're in business. This is my favorite. I use it as part of multi-tiered communication strategy. So day-to-day communications with my friends and family, I pick up the phone. I use the cell phone because that is the most robust. It's pretty reliable, but let's face it, sometimes I'm out of range, or you don't have to go too far to remember the idiot in Nashville 2 years ago that decided to park in front of the AT&T building and blow himself up, and that knocked out AT&T and landline traffic for weeks until they recovered. So that's my primary, okay? If cell phone calling doesn't work, and sometimes that happens if you're in a stadium, in a big environment, I'm sure that at one point or another we've all heard that all circuits are busy message, right? And you try again, all circuits are busy, and finally the third or fourth try, you get through. Well, in those cases, cell phone texting usually works. So that's my second level down. If my primary doesn't work, well, I'm going to try to send you a text message, because in that text message, I can send a picture, I can show you a video, I can even record my voice and send it to you as a text message. I can't do that with Meshtastic, but I can do that with my phone. So that's my level 2. If this doesn't work, then I'm going to try texting you, and I'll probably send you a voice text that says, hey, I'm okay, car wreck, I'm going to be whatever, I don't have a cell signal. Email. I can send email from my phone. I can send email from here. So that's, again, I'm going down the different hierarchy here. And then I get into the RF side. So plan D, level D for me, is going to be if none of these work, I'm going to get on the radio. Excuse me. Ham radio, CB, GMRS, MERS, you name it, whatever makes sense. But that's the next level down. But even these, if I'm going more than a few miles, typically I'm going to need some infrastructure. I'm going to need a cell phone tower, not a cell phone tower, a repeater. I'm going to need some infrastructure to get the message across. If that's not available, then my last line of defense here is Meshtastic. Now I'll get to that, and I'll send you a text message, and I don't need anything. Nothing needs to be operating for me to do that. Talked about this already. Easy to deploy, no license. Anybody can do it. And then I think we've hit all of these already. Basic communications, I'll show you that in a few minutes. Nothing fancy. 2 to 5 miles typically on a good day with these nodes, but as long as there's a node somewhere in that range, now I've extended it another 2 to 5 miles. And as long as there's another node, now I'm up to 15 miles away, and then I'll hit Lookout Mountain, and now, boom, I'm 40 miles away. So it's pretty broad. Down here is just a snapshot of a map that shows each of the nodes, and down here is this is Rome up here, Dalton, and it's improved a lot. And then down here as you get to Cobb County, where I am, Marietta, and then I zoomed in a little bit. But you can see the clusters of nodes and how close they are to each other. Can I have private conversations? Yes, we talked about that. Okay, what do I need? Okay, you need a node. You need 2 nodes if you want to have a conversation. The nodes can be cheap. They can be 30. My Altoid node cost me $27. Those are now about $35, $36. This is about $40. And this is in that same range. But I can go and I can get a pre-built node for about $110. Here's the inside of my first node. You can buy the components, put them together yourself. You can attach it to a Pi, Raspberry Pi, and get additional capabilities and power. So the sky's the limit. Or you can just go to Amazon and buy yourself a node that somebody else has already built for you. And all you have to do is turn it on. Okay? This is one of those all-in-one devices that I mentioned before. If you don't want to have a separate screen, this has a little screen up here where you can see the message, and it's got a keyboard. There's another one that even looks more like BlackBerry, thank you. It looks just like a BlackBerry. But all sorts of uses and all sorts of choices. Here's one node that I have. I put up on my gutter just to test. This is a solar node. So it's one box. It's a gray box with an antenna. And that's the solar panel right here. This thing has been running for about 8 months. Never had to plug it in, never needed power. It gets all the power it needs from the sun. That node, I estimate that if I put inside a closet, turn off the lights, it'll run for about 7 days, 6 or 7 days before it runs out of power. So as long as I have one day like today every week, once a week, that's going to have more than enough juice. Okay? How can I use it? Okay? Think about it as dial-up internet. If you remember dialing into the internet in the 1980s, what did you need? Well, first of all, it was very slow. 56K modems, 28.8 modems. Think that level, okay? What could you do with it? Well, I could send emails. I could surf the web, but the web was all text-based back then. Occasionally, you had a picture here and there. Same thing here. I had BBS, bulletin board systems, where I could log in. I could leave you a message before email. I could leave you a message. You'd log in, and you'd receive it and then respond to me. All those things are available. There's an application called ATAC. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's an add-on to Meshtastic. It uses the Meshtastic application in the LoRa to communicate, and it's very popular with people, for example, paintball tournaments, paintball teams, or paramilitary groups, or weekend warriors, whatever. Each of us can have a Meshtastic node strapped onto our vest, and this will communicate to all the other ones on my team, current status, where I am, GPS, precise GPS location. I can send messages back and forth to it, and it will overlay maps. So I can have, on my phone, I can have a map, a real-time map that moves with me, and I can see dots on that map that represent each of my team members, and I can click on a dot and send you a message. Come around the south side of the building. I'll meet you here in this particular location, or watch out, you got enemy coming up on you. That's available, and it just overlays right here, and you'll see the different dots for the different people. So all sorts, because it's public domain, people are writing apps that they want to see for it. Yes, sir.
So a couple of questions about the map. So it's got a place where you can plug in a storage card. I don't know exactly what kind or what's the maximum size card that you can plug into these boards. And then
Well,
how do you get the map? Isn't the map going to go on that card?
yeah, so the ATAC folks will usually not run on these, or if they do, they'll have a phone or a tablet with them. That's where all the maps are stored. All this is doing is feeding real-time information to it. All the smarts and all the stuff is happening on my device. So that's where you can download offline maps, or you can have real-time maps with internet connections. But again, think of this as your 28.8 modem. This is doing very little other than getting your GPS position and communicating. All the real smarts and overlays and display is being done by your device. Another good area for it that I see a lot is sensors. This particular one has a built-in light sensor and a temperature sensor. So when I look at my node, I can see the temperature in this room. I can tell whether it's outside or inside. So you can connect all sorts of sensors, humidity sensors, you name it. So I see it in production environments or on farms where you don't have internet access, but I want to see when my level of whatever in my barn goes down to a certain level. So you can do that too. If an internet goes down at a site, I want to know about it. Well, how do I know about it? Because the internet's down. Well, you can have a cellular backup, or you can just have a Meshtastic connection that will alert you when the internet goes down. Again, public domain, so it's wide open. You can write whatever you want to use it. Okay, why do I want to use it? So this is Ed here. I got it for a simple way for my family to be in communications. My daughter lives 17 miles from me. My son now lives 28 miles from me. And if internet was down, if phone service was down for whatever reason, we can communicate through this. That was my main driver. When Hurricane Beryl came by in Houston, I had family there, we couldn't reach them. they couldn't talk to each other, even though they were about 8 blocks away, to know that they were both safe. If they had this, that would have been a no-brainer. It's like, lost power, lost internet, but I'm okay. Or need gas, you know, the Texaco down on 4th and Main, it still has gas available, hurry. So those are my main reasons for getting Meshtastic and getting into Meshtastic. And typically that's what I see many people doing. And again, something as small, unintrusive as this, you can just clip onto your belt, clip onto your backpack, is an easy way to do that. Okay, winding down here. How do I start? Okay, well, I told you already before, need 2 nodes. You can't communicate if you only have 1 node. So 2 nodes, inexpensive, no license. Once you get your 2 nodes, put one at home and take the other one around with you. Walk the dog, go on a car ride, go to the dry cleaner, whatever. Explore your neighborhood. Number 1, see how far you can get from your house so that you see how broad your reach is. And number 2, as you're driving around, other nodes are probably going to start popping up. So now, oh, I got a neighbor here. So this guy is 5 blocks from me. So now I know I can go another 5 blocks past that. And you start building. And there's a tool in there that will let you do that easily. That'll let you keep one at home, drive one around, and it automatically pings each other every couple of minutes. And then when you come back, you download the coordinates, and it puts it into a Google Earth map, and it shows you the coverage map for your particular node at home. Okay, but explore your neighborhood. See who else is around you. See how far you can get. Unleash your creative juices. That was another great thing for me. I showed you what I can do with an Altoid can. There are people that have taken buoys that are out in the ocean. Oh, this is a great case. I'm going to build a solar node. So they open up the buoy, they put that in. It's weatherproof, waterproof. And now they've got a solar node that they built themselves that they can chuck a rope over a branch, hoist it up 40, 50 feet in their backyard, and now they got a solar node, no power needed, 50 feet up in the air, that just greatly extended their reach. Play with it. There's so many things. Birdhouses. I've seen people that have taken birdhouses and they've made them into Meshtastic nodes. Routers. We all have old routers laying around. Well, guess what? Those routers are great enclosures because you can rip out the guts of the router, put in a node, put in a battery, and those routers already have SMA connectors on the back for Wi-Fi antennas. Just replace those antennas, put mesh antennas, and now you got a Linksys mesh router. So that was another thing for me that was easy, and I can build it. If I can imagine it, I can build it. I don't have a 3D printer, but boy, if I did, I'd have so many of these things laying around. Build cases, build enclosures. I don't like this enclosure because it only lets me put in a small battery. Well, I'll just build this thing, but I'll extend it out, or I'll make it wider and put a bigger battery in there. One thing, I don't have a 3D printer, so I can't do that, but what I found out, and it's probably the same here, something to look into, down in Cobb County, all the libraries have 3D printers. So even if I don't have a 3D printer, I can take a file that I can download from any of the free sites, or I can pay somebody $10 for your 3D file. I can bring it into a thumb drive into my library and say, here, print this for me, and they will only charge me for the thread, the plastic that it uses. So I can 3D print anything I can imagine. This is another 3D printed case. This just slides right into it, and it protects it when I'm carrying it in my pocket. Yes, sir?
So, what battery size and what voltage do you carry?
It's regular USB voltage, so I think it range 5.6, 5.7, it'll go up to about 8, down to about 4. Battery, whatever you want. This has got a small battery in here. My solar node has, I've got one that's got an 8,000 milliamp battery, right? Yeah. And that'll run it for 2 weeks. And I've got another one with a 800 or 300. I get mixed up, but battery size, whatever you want to fit into whatever case you want to do. Okay? Thousands of files. You can get files and download them for free out there to build whatever you want for your node. Network with others. Again, how do I start? Attend these types of sessions. Learn, ask questions. Get with your ham groups. Get with Facebook. Lots of Facebook groups for Meshtastic. There's one for Georgia, one for Florida, there's one for the Southeast. There's a ton of them out there. YouTube. Tons, hours and hours of YouTube videos on how to build your own node, what to do, what mistakes not to make, those types of things. So get going, talk to people, create your private channels. Start, once you have a group and you're all getting together and you're talking about Meshtastic, let's create a channel so that we can talk to each other easily. Organize people. Find like-minded folks. Present and talk about Meshtastic, things like I'm doing here. Get people interested, get people around you to learn about Meshtastic. Have regular meetings, don't just do it one time, keep going. Because if we meet now, if we have this meeting a month or 2 months from now, I'll bet some of you would have gone home and built your own nodes, and you're going to come in and say, hey, look at what I built. This is what I did. Show it off, learn from each other. Use social media, chat rooms, Discord, Slack channels, Telegram, whatever. Emails. Keep in mind that not everybody's going to follow Discord or Slack channels, so you still want to communicate the old-fashioned way too. But the idea is to get the message out. Teach people what you've done. Learn from other people what they've done, because I'm going to do it one way, and somebody is going to come back and say, you know what, I tried it, but I figured out a way to make your design a little bit better. Case in point, this was built for me by a friend of mine, and he created it. And what I'm finding is that these side panels, after about 2 or 3 months of using it, they're starting to bend a little bit. So I'm going to go back to him and say, hey, you know what, this is great, but you probably have to make this twice as thick so that it holds up longer. New nodes, advertise your successes. Hey, I found a great use for my old birdhouse or my old Linksys router. Communicate, advertise, and share your successes. Connect with local radio groups, groups like this, churches, preppers, the church, the Mormon Church, Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, they're big into communications. They take over the North Georgia GMRS repeaters every Wednesday night so that they can make sure that their members can communicate to each other. One of the ladies that heads that came to one of my Meshtastic sessions, and they're now going to be looking at Meshtastic. So they're going to have their own Meshtastic network that they're in the process of setting up. Another advantage of working with local groups, whether it's American Red Cross, Boy Scouts, local fire, police, safety, is a lot of them have great sites for nodes. So you get in with them, you get them talking and excited about Meshtastic, and next thing you know, it's, oh yeah, you can put a node up in my water tower, no problem. Put a solar node up there, that'd be great. And now you got another location that it's going to extend the reach of the network. Okay. All right, what's going to happen? We're already seeing it. Continued growth. This thing is growing by leaps and bounds. And it's a double-edged sword. Because initially, we had a few nodes. It was difficult to talk to each other because I could see you, but I can't reach out to you. But now that everybody's getting them, there's a lot of traffic. So we're having to make some changes to our network to make it a better network when there's a lot of activity, a lot of traffic. But it is growing, and it's going to continue to grow. Hi. New technology. Again, come on in. Talking about Meshtastic. Faster hardware. Every year, every 6 months, you find a whole new set of nodes that are better, faster, cheaper, lighter, smaller. Embedded nodes. Nodes that are part of something else. Why not? Aerial drones. Many people are now that they've gotten this small, oh, well, you know what, I got a drone. I'm going to put this up on my drone. Now I'm going to take my drone up 500 feet, 1,000 feet in the air, and let me see how far I can get. Or in an emergency situation, I need help. I can't reach anybody, but I've got a node and I've got a drone. I'm going to shoot my drone up 2,000 feet in the air, and now all of a sudden I can talk to somebody 10, 15 miles to let them know that I need help. Satellites. That may look crazy, but what's happening in the cell phone industry? T-Mobile, Apple, and a few others have started testing satellite phone communication, so that now I don't need to be near a tower. I can be in the middle of nowhere. As long as I can see a satellite, I can use it to talk. Well, why can't those satellites use Meshtastic? Maybe. Who knows? Just a matter of time, I think. Always better batteries, smaller batteries, longer batteries, lower power nodes. The first node that I had, the one that I showed you in the Altoid, if I put that on the battery, it would only last about 3 hours. This one lasts 3 days, and it's only been less than a year between that and this. That'll continue. And then, because it's public domain, people are always enhancing the communications protocol, LoRa, underneath it. Do-it-yourself nodes. Here's a progression of some of my nodes. This is the box that it came in. I took that box, I cut 2 holes in it, and I had my first node. Hey, I wonder if this is going to work. I put it up on the windowsill. I started talking. Then that worked, but I said, you know what? This doesn't offer much protection. So then I went to the Altoid tin. So that metal box worked great. But I said, well, I need to keep this plugged in. Well, how about if I add some batteries? So I took the node out of here, put it on top of here, and used this space for batteries. And now I've got a rechargeable node that I can unplug, as you can see here, and I can run this for, 3 hours, 5 hours, take it on a hike with me, and come back and plug it in. And then I built solar node. And then I took this and I put a better antenna, and so you can see the progression. You start out with one thing, and then it becomes something else that you built yourself. Yeah, I'm not a real hands-on person. I don't want to do that. Okay, there are companies like Rack Wireless and others that'll build you nodes. You can buy all of these right off the internet, right off of Amazon. Here's one that has a built-in screen, a big screen. Here's one that has e-ink. If you've got a Nook, if you've got a Nook or a Kindle, you see those screens that are easy to read during the day, and it's e-ink, so it doesn't use any power, very low power consumption. You can buy a node that has that kind of screen on there. This is a solar node, so here's the node itself, here's the antenna, and here's the solar panel. All pre-built. Just give them a credit card number, and 3-4 days later, it's sitting on your front step. You just turn it on, and you go to town. This is the one that I showed you before that I bought that sits on my gutter. I didn't have to touch it. I just turned it on. Yes, sir.
So, a lot of this is meant, I always hear them talking about 915 megahertz, but when you're actually trying to turn it on, you've got to pick a channel. It seems like it's a 906 point something megahertz, and it's channel 20, and then you have to pick something like the long fast. Or something.
I'll show you that next, and as we wrap up here. But just to give you an idea, these are just some of the nodes that are supported. I circled some of the more popular ones. Here's the one that looks like a BlackBerry. I mean, if you look at that and didn't know any better, you'd say, oh, that's a picture of a BlackBerry. Here's one that I've never used. Don't know if it's any good or not, but it's like an Apple Watch. It's a node on your wrist. So I think it tells time too, but it's a Meshtastic node. Here's the one that I have. Here's the other solar node, and so forth. So you can see there's probably 30 different, and that's old. There's more now, but there's that. And then these are the piece parts. So I can buy the boards and put them on top of Raspberry Pis. So you can buy the parts and put it together just like a PC, right? You can buy a PC pre-built, or you can build your own. Same thing here. Okay, so let me go and do a quick demo for you. Let's see how are we doing on time? Okay, 1:45. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Can you guys see this? Okay, this is my phone right here. Okay. So I have this phone. I'm going to open my Meshtastic right there, and then go here.
So there's a lot of different apps. That's the best app. I mean, there's really more than one app.
This is the Android app. There's an iOS app that does the same thing but looks very different. There's also an app that'll run on my Windows PC, and I can build my own app because everything's public domain, right? So this is how it looks like on my phone. So up here, it shows that I'm connected to this node right here. Okay, so my phone is connected to that node, and then here's some other nodes that are nearby that I can connect to. So that's this phone connected to that node. So now I'm going to take this other phone, which is a spare phone that I have. It doesn't have any service on it. This one is my day-to-day phone, but this one is an old phone that I no longer use. So I can't use this to make a connection because
It's got Bluetooth on it?
it's got Bluetooth on it, correct. So now I just connected this phone to this device, okay? So now everything is down. I've got my node, and I want to connect to my wife who's got that node. So I'm going to show you over here. So now I'm going to actually take this node here, connect to that, and then this node is over here connected to that phone, okay? So these two are connected, those two are connected. There's nothing between us, no internet, no cell phone, no anything. So the first thing I do is I go down here to the bottom left. That's my message. So I've got different channels. Each one of these things is a channel. So these are public channels, long, fast, medium, fast. These are channels that I created for a group of hams that I meet with in Kennesaw. Here's my family, and here's the North Georgia mesh net, channel that we set up. So I'm going to go into the family one, okay, right here, the family channel, and I want to send a message. Honey, I'll be home in 1 hour, okay? So simple, up to, I think Stuart said 200 messages. Oops, sorry, keep moving this around. About 200 messages long, no fancy pictures or anything, and all I have to do to send it is push that button, which I'll do now. So now, watch that one. Okay, it's going. You see over here, it sent it to the cloud.
So it showed up on this gray one already on the screen.
Okay, so it made it.
It made a noise.
Yep. So let's see. It hasn't shown it here. Okay. No, Google. I don't want to talk to you. There. Okay. So now I go over here, and now it says, "Honey, I'll be home in 1 hour." So it came across, and now she's going to say, "Okay, send it back." So now that is going to send it to this, and there it is. Yes, sir.
So how do you handshake? You've got two devices, so you can see if it made it. How do you know your message has made it?
There's this symbol here, which isn't foolproof, but this shows that it maximum transmission reached. You'll see a check mark over here that'll show you that it went through. But it's not 100%. Sometimes it'll show like it didn't make it, but actually it did. But you will see it on there. So that's a simple message. I can also, so this, up here, family, that's one-to-one. Only my family members can see that. If I click over here on this tab, these are all the different nodes that I can see. So tracker is this one here. That one is this 15D0. It gives me the signal strength, so I can see what kind of signal I have. It's good. It better be good. They're only 6 inches apart. But this will show good, fair, bad, just based on the signal strength. Then I can click on it, and I can get more information. So this tells me, in addition to the signal that I saw, it gives me the power, 4.32 volts. It tells me what kind of node it is. It tells me what mode it's in. It's a client mute, and additional information. If I want to see, now here's another node that just popped in that it just saw. So it's either somebody here in this room or somebody here in the area has a node and it just popped up. But if I want to see, okay, how do I get to that node? I click on it, and guess what? It's another tracker, just like mine. Okay, so it's there. Gives me some more information about it, what it is, last heard, now, distance 0 feet, so it might be somebody here in the room or right outside. Last position update, blah, blah, blah. One of the things I can do here is trace route. So I click on trace route, and it came back and said, okay, this is my node. It went to it directly, and then that node responded back to me directly. So it gives me, if I had multiple hops in there, it would show that. So that's really all there is to it. This is a map. So this is a live map, and I can zoom in here in Chattanooga. There's more than 10 nodes. Here's where they are, different locations. Okay, yes, sir.
Bandwidth, can multiple people be attached, paired with the same node?
No. If you connect to the node via Wi-Fi, I believe it'll have multiple connections. But because it's Bluetooth, it's a one-to-one. So while I'm connected to this node, nobody else can connect to it. And even if I wasn't connected to it, there's a pin. So you got to pair it, just like any other Bluetooth device. And you got to know my 6-digit pin to connect to my node. Okay?
How many times does it hop? How many times can it hop?
You set that as part of your configuration, and I'll show you that next. But you can get a feel for here in the Chattanooga area, and you can go outside of Chattanooga, going back in my neck of the woods here. 20 nodes, 9 nodes right by me. Some of these are mine. Atlanta. So you can see there's a whole lot of people. So now I'm connected. Once again, I'm connected to this tracker node. And if I go into the configuration pin up here, here's all the configuration things that I can do. LoRa is the long range. Medium fast is the preset that I'm using.
What does medium fast mean?
Um,
Just an acronym or what?
Yeah, the range and speed. So by default, when you set up a node, it's going to come up as long fast. Long range and the fastest speed possible. That's great until you start getting too many nodes, and then they're stepping on each other because everybody's hearing everybody else and everybody's trying to repeat everything else. So medium fast is a compromise. It says I'm not going to transmit as far, so I'm going to have a smaller coverage area, but still have fast speed. So if you find that you have too many nodes and messages aren't getting through, go to medium fast. And that's what we've had to do here in North Georgia in the last 2 days. We're in the process of switching that over. Your question is down here, number of hops. Set the maximum number of hops. The default is 3. I bumped this up to 5. But it also says be careful because you can congest the network. If everybody says 10, which I think is the maximum, then these messages are going to be bouncing back and forth. So that's it there.
This is like 906 megahertz, right?
Yeah, I'll show you that next.
I mean,
So-
so there could be all these other megahertzes, right?
Yeah, I'll show you that next. When you pick your medium fast or long fast, it'll give you a slot, and that slot corresponds to a frequency. So different frequency slots and different profiles will give you a range from 908 to 913 or what have you. Okay?
Question,
Yes.
if I'm on channel 20 and you're on channel 45, can we communicate?
No, because we'll be on different presets. You might be on long fast at 908, I'll be in medium fast at 913, and we won't see each other.
If we're both on long fast though, will channel 20 see channel 20?
Scott? I don't think so, because you're different frequencies. You can set those.
It's different frequencies and different modes.
Yeah.
You have to understand that Meshtastic transmits by what's called chirp spread spectrum. The chirp is a tone that goes up slightly, comes down a little bit, and then goes back up again. And the spread spectrum means it's on multiple frequencies, but it has a centering frequency somewhere. So if you've got medium fast has different size chirps than long fast. They look different. It's a different symbol and a different code. So even if you're on the same frequency, you're not going to be able to talk to each other because they're speaking a different language because the symbols look different.
So the answer is most probably no. But before, we're running out of time, so I want to be sensitive to the next speaker. But I wanted to show you the key. So it's got the encryption keys. I mentioned everything's encrypted. So you see that there. Position, here's where you enable or disable your GPS and what you want to send and when. Store and forward range, telemetry. I think that's all that I want to show you. Yeah, so again, basic communications. When nothing else is working, this guy will. And again, $40 is enough for you to get started. So if you want to play with it, you want to explore what you can do with it, it's a simple investment. And join the mesh. All right, well, thank you guys. Appreciate you coming out here. Hopefully you learned something. And we'll see you on the mesh, hopefully. Send us some messages. Thank you.